Please note that the information on Retire Vivid is accurate as of August 5th, 2025. Changes to laws and regulations may make portions of this segment outdated and no longer relevant. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended to provide investment, tax, or legal advice. Please see our full disclosure at the end of the episode.
Welcome to the studio. I'm McCarty. That's Tommy Breitbach, and this is Retire Vivid. Thank you all for spending your weekend with us. I want to talk about retirement accounts today. You know, because a lot of people have different options of where they can have their investments. But Tommy, I mean, taxes really plays an important role when it comes to this.
We spend time talking about tax planning, and most of that is in regards to, I guess, pre-planning or looking forward to required minimum distributions, but it's never too early to consider taxes as you are saving for retirement.
Well, sure. I mean, we're all familiar with 401ks, but there's the 401k, the 457, the 403b, the 401a. I mean, it's the alphabet soup, right? I mean, it really, and to your point, it comes down to what line of work you're in. But taxes play such an important role, especially down the road. And when you take distributions, whether they're going to be tax-free or if you're going to be paying tax, if you would, a toll every time you open up your nest egg.
Right, and it's more or less the consideration between paying taxes now, paying taxes later.
That's the question.
You want to review where you are, kind of current income, maybe where future income will be, what it may look like in retirement, figure out what taxes you'll be paying at all stages of life, and then that kind of leads you to your best option within those employer-sponsored plans.
You know what? Let's dial into that, because how many times do clients come to us and they'll say, okay, Cam, my 401k offers a Roth. Should I just put all my money into that?
You tend to have the traditional portion, pre-tax within that employer-sponsored plan. You take your tax deduction now. Grows tax deferred, comes out taxable. The Roth portion, no tax deduction up front, grows tax-free, comes out tax-free. Mm-hmm. And so it comes down to, you know, where you are, where you will be, and then, you know, what the unknowns are in the future as far as tax rates you may or may not be paying.
Let's dial into that. So why don't you walk our viewers through this, because this is important. I want them to consider tax smart strategies, whether you're going to be in a lower bracket, the middle of the tiers, or maybe in a higher tier in the future. So because again, they ask that question, should I put, so you know, for example, let's say I'm doing 10% of a contribution to a 401k, okay? Do I put 2% Roth, 8% traditional? Do I flip it, right? Let's talk about that. Let's give our viewers some examples here.
Very generally, the income tax brackets are kind of grouped into buckets. So right. Your lower tax brackets are 10 and 12. The middle are 22, 24, and then the uppers are in the 30s. And so the Roth benefits from a lower tax rate, where your income is, a lower tax rate. So tends to be when you are in the lower buckets, the 10, 12, you would, the Roth would be beneficial.
It'd be beneficial then.
You go up to the higher brackets, the 32, 35, 37, that is typically benefit from taking that deduction, so traditional or pre-tax. And then in the middle, if you're not sure, you know, you can always split those contributions.
Right.
So give some traditional, some Roth, kind of give yourself flexibility in the future.
You know, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, I know for our viewers that are listening right now, I mean, this is why you work with a professional, right? Somebody that does this for a living, because again, we're just doing a broad stroke across the board. I mean, for people that are listening, we don't know where they're at, right? And so that's also why we offer that 15-minute retirement review, Tommy, where people can give us that call and ask us those questions and say, hey, Cam, okay, I'm here with income. Here's where I may be in the future. And they can ask it. I mean, I think it's been extremely effective, Tommy, for people that give us that call. You
can find a lot of information out there, but it doesn't always relate to your individual situation.
Right.
So if there are those questions that you have, you know, something specific to you or just questions you want about your situation, you know, a lot of times those can be answered pretty easily.
Then that's why we talk about this, folks. I mean, I think they're starting to understand that we're big advocates of how do I save money in taxes, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind paying taxes. I just don't want to pay any more than I have to, right? And I think most people agree with me.
Oh, absolutely.
I hope so.
Yeah. You don't need more to Uncle Sam.
Yeah, right. Okay, now let's stay on the 401k for a minute. So Tommy, we got contribution limits. So let's talk about 2025.
2025, your contribution limit is $23,000. You get a catch up if you're over 50, over 55.
Yep.
So that can be higher as you get closer to typical retirement age. But it is not income dependent. So
right.
you can, regardless of how much money you're making, you can still hit that contribution limit.
I mean, they're very attractive if you think about it, because again, what do we want people to do? Right? While you're in the workforce, feed those retirement plans, because when you retire, what you have in that account is what you're walking to retirement with you. Because, what's the number one fear of retirees?
Well, it's running out of money.
Right. It's running out of money. So if we can feed these things and then show you from a withdrawal strategy, right, in terms of pulling that money, that's why we're talking about taxes during this point in time. But again, we want people to max out those as much as they can.
There's kind of a general rule of thumb out there that most people have a saving of 15% rate in their mind.
Yep.
There's some research out there that says that tends to be age dependent. So the earlier you start, you get a head start on that. That number can be a little bit lower than 15%. If you're starting later in life, obviously that's much higher. And you can see those age buckets there. In the around 25, it's 9 to 13%. You don't start till you're 40. Then you need to look up into the 20, 28% range for a savings rate. Yeah,
that's actually pretty good. I mean, these are the things that we want people to do in terms of a goal, right?
Yeah, and it is setting that goal and it is working towards it. If it's not all feasible right now, get into that budget, figure out where you can find a little bit more money or increase your savings rate with each raise you get, each change in income.
Yep.
But definitely set that goal, keep moving forward.
Yep. How many retirees that we work with, Tommy, say, "Boy, Cam, I wish I didn't save so much." They don't say that. Anyway, all right. Well, let's keep moving. So, again, we've already kind of addressed it. Whether whatever line of work you're in, for example, the 403B, the TSP, the 457, they all are pretty similar, right? But let's talk about something that a lot of people don't have, and that's pension plans.
The days of, especially in the private employers or the private workforce, the days of the pension plans are going away. You're not seeing many companies offering kind of new or current employees pension options. And so if that is something you have, that you have the option tends to be to take the income or take the lump sum. But it is a good way to get that retirement paycheck or playcheck.
That's ooh, I like that. Yeah, that was pretty good. Folks, did you catch that? That was pretty. You just slide that right in. Okay, real quick, let's just go through some pros and cons real quick. Just kind of get this out of the way when it comes to employer-sponsored plans. Tommy, the pro, if they offer a match, we want you taking advantage of it. If there's a Roth in there, talk to your tax professional and say, hey, does it make sense to put a certain portion in that? We've already addressed that. Let's talk about some cons.
Yeah, your cons. It is intended to be a retirement account.
Yep.
So most of the time you pay taxes or penalties prior to 59 and a half. So it's not money you're going to be using at 35, most likely. Most plans are set up somewhat similarly. You tend to have a fund lineup. Some of them have a company stock option. Few plans offer kind of that self-directed option, but it kind of tends to be that fund lineup, that's offered through the plan where your investment options are.
Okay, so we're going to move on to IRAs and brokerage accounts next on Retire Vivid.
Do you have questions about your retirement plan, or do you want to know if you are on the right track? We are here to help. Simply go to retirevivid.com or call the number below to schedule a 15-minute retirement review. You can speak with us about taxes, Social Security, your 401k, or any quick retirement questions at no cost to you. We are here to make retirement vivid. Schedule your 15-minute retirement review today.
All right, welcome back. So Tommy, we talk about so much, if you think about it, with our show. I mean, for people that are listening this weekend, but it doesn't have to stop here just by watching us, on air. They could also catch us on YouTube as well.
We put videos out there covering, topics outside of what we're talking about today. We get into Social Security, retirement planning, taxes, tax smart. Even have a little estate planning. I think there's Medicare.
There's Medicare out there too.
There's a lot of things out there.
There's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, here's the thing. If you want to stay up to date with anything Vivid, hit that subscribe button. And if you want it to get noticed, hit that notification bell. I mean, there are ways that you can access the content that we are providing, and it's been very, very valuable, in my opinion, for our viewers and our own clients.
Yeah, if you're not able to catch it during the weekend, watch on your own time.
That's right. And don't forget to DVR the show. That way you never miss an episode. Okay, well, let's keep going. Let's stay on, so we just talked about the 401ks, right? The employer-sponsored plans. Let's move on to what you can do outside of that. And Tommy, that's traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs. A lot of people are familiar with those. It's great because you can do both, but up to a certain point.
We mentioned with the employer-sponsored plans, you have that high cap and you don't have the income requirements.
Yep.
Getting into your IRAs and your Roths, there is a lower cap in 2025 that is $7,000 with another $1,000 catch up if you're 50 or older.
Yep.
And there are income limits to where if you're going the traditional IRA, you don't get the deduction if your income's too high. If you are contributing to a Roth and your income's too high, you are not eligible.
You're not eligible, that's right. I mean, and so again, there's also rules when it comes to the Roth IRA. See, a lot of times, and we did an episode on this, and again, folks, we just talked about our YouTube channel. This is why we have this stuff out there so they can hear it again and again and again. With the Roth IRA, there's a 5-year rule. Let's just briefly talk about the 2 5-year rules.
Right, there's an account level 5-year rule with your Roth. So a Roth IRA, and I said IRA, not Roth 401k, for whatever.
Yep.
Roth employer sponsor plan. The Roth IRA has a 5-year rule that an IRA has been open and funded for a 5-year period. That leads to tax benefits down the road. And then getting into, if you are looking at converting from that traditional IRA to the Roth, you're over, under 59 and a half. There's a lot of rules out there, but
there is.
There's the account level 5-year rule and possibly a conversion level 5-year rule, just depending on age and how long the account's been open.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's exactly right. There's also a back door if you have, in terms of a Roth, to get into a Roth if you're a high income earner. So again, so much to think about there, but let's talk about the pros and cons when it comes to these 2 different types of accounts. A pro for both when it comes to a traditional IRA and a Roth, unlike the employer-sponsored plan, where the employer-sponsored plan has a selection of investments. The sky's literally the limit when it comes to these type of plans.
Unless your employer-sponsored plan offers that self-directed option.
Good point. Yep.
You are more or less on a fund lineup, possibly company stock. Going out into an IRA, you can buy and sell lots of.
You can do a lot. On the other side of it, in terms of a con, you can dump a lot more money inside of a 401k than you can with a traditional IRA or a Roth.
And without those income limitations for eligibility to the IRA or the Roth.
Yep. So that's another one.
You can always contribute to your employer-sponsored plan. Depending on your income, you may or may not get the benefits of the IRA and the Roth.
Right. And then from a tax perspective, first off, when you have a traditional IRA, it is exclusively yours, right? But from a traditional IRA, you get that tax deduction now, so it helps you today, but it's all reportable when you start accessing that nest egg.
Right, and that's opposite of the Roth, where you are not getting the deduction now, but it grows tax-free. You hit all your 5-year rules in there, but then it comes out tax-free when we're looking at retirement.
Yep, and of course, we already talked about the penalties. So, all right, so that's that. Let's move on to brokerage accounts. They're wonderful investments. So, the beauty with a brokerage account is there's no limit when it comes to a brokerage account. You can dump as much money in there as you want, and there's no penalty in terms of an age. Right, where we're talking about the 59 and a half, there's a 10% penalty on employer-sponsored plans or any form of a retirement account. That's a good thing, But let's talk about the but. Taxes.
You pay, depending how it's invested, what the investments within there are pushing out, if it's dividends or interest, or you're buying and selling, realizing a gain. The taxable investment accounts, you are going to get that 1099 every year if there's activity in the account, and then it is reportable for taxes.
Right. I mean, we already talked about that percent in terms of what we want to see people do. In terms of their contributions, anything over that this is a great spot to dump money. Because again, I'm setting up my nest egg, but hey, Cam, I want to save more. Fine, then let's look at these brokerage accounts. Go ahead.
It's either, saving beyond the contribution limits, you're trying to catch up, you've started later, or you have a specific purpose in mind that you want to be able to access that full account.
Right.
So if you're kind of targeting out to saving up for second home or a roof or putting money away for some use that may happen before 59 and a half, you can access that full account without the tax penalty, but taxes on gains and
that's a great. I'm glad you said that, Tommy, because those big ticket items like a car, right, a roof, those sort of things. It's nice to be able to touch this, because one thing, folks, we don't want you to do is we don't want you tapping into those retirement plans and getting hit with a 10% penalty.
Right.
We don't want that.
If you know there's something coming up, or you think something may come up, this is a good way to put money aside and not have to access those retirement accounts.
Well, let's talk about the pros and cons of it. I mean, the same type of deal. The pro is you get a lot of investment options, right? But there is no tax benefits from a tax deduction side.
Right, you don't get the deduction and you don't get the tax-free growth.
Right.
You have ways to be tax efficient. If we're getting into specifically taxes, you can look at qualified dividends, reviewing long-term capital gains rather than short-term.
Yep.
You can be tax efficient with what you select in there, but you do have that tax liability.
I mean, again, you can do some gain harvesting as well too, especially if it's a long-term gain. I mean, folks, this was good. I mean, we got more that I want to talk about, especially when it comes to business owners, where they can put their money, solo 401ks. So folks, make sure you stay with us. We got a lot more right after the break.
The next chapter is waiting. And we're here to help you make every moment count. So, whether you're embracing the quiet, cheering on your little all-star, or finally crossing off your bucket list, because confidence in your plan makes all the difference. At Vivid, we walk with you step by step, so you can focus on the important things. Make retirement vivid. To learn more, visit retirevivid.com.
Okay, so we're talking about what's the best retirement account that may fit you. And we talked about quite a bit. Let's move on to the business owners. They've got options, Tommy, when in terms of, well, it depends. In terms of where they can put their money, but they can put it in one of these places.
A lot of times you can find that the small business owner or somebody starting a relatively new or smaller company, they're focused on getting the company off the ground, growing the company, but
that's right.
Can't forget to save for yourself as well.
So you got the solo 401ks. I mean, that's an option. And so you got to find, administrative fees and that sort of thing matters when it comes to looking for that. I mean, we've talked about that with our business owner clients. There's different platforms out there where you can use depending on how many employees that you have under your company.
That solo 401k, you have the similar contribution limits as the employee. So 2025, that's $23,500. You have the catch-ups at your different age buckets. But then the employer or the business can also make a contribution that's much higher, just depending on how you calculate, the business income.
Yep.
Calculations involved, but that can be up to $70,000 kind of total, in a way to put away quite a bit of money.
That's a big deal. I mean, it's a lot of money you can save up, and that's awesome. Okay, the simple IRA, right? And so this is also great if you want to help out not just yourself, but your employees as well. I mean, it's a great tool. So in this case, a simple IRA, I mean, it's a great startup when it comes to a retirement savings plan for business owners. In 2025, employees can save up to $16,500 in that plan, which is up from the previous year. But once again, Tommy, this is if you want to help, your current employees.
Right, and you get into these account options that we're talking about, and there are different rules regarding if you have employees or not, what options are available to you. So the simple IRA, it's kind of make it a simple way to start. They kind of make it a simple way to start, that retirement account or retirement plan for a small business.
Yep, and then we got the SEP IRA, and so unlike the simple IRA, it allows both the employer and the employee to contribute to this plan, which is nice, right? And also it allows employers are allowed to contribute, on behalf of their employees. So again, it just comes down to what you're trying to accomplish with these type of retirement accounts. That's why we're going through all of them.
We can't really get into all the details or what fits you individually, but just to know that those options are available, something to think about.
Let's talk about some pros and cons, especially for small businesses and self-employed retirement accounts. So again, for pros, they get flexibility, which is nice, especially when it comes to their options. It can be less expensive, in terms of operating, and then for simple IRAs, we've already talked about this, employees and employers, they both share the responsibility, when it comes to saving for retirement.
On the other side of that, specifically the simple IRA has a lower contribution limit than, your traditional employer-sponsored plan. The other two have the contribution limits kind of based on income. Simple IRAs don't have that Roth or after-tax option.
Yep.
Self-employed or simplified employee pension, so that SEP IRA, the employer has to contribute the same percentage for themselves and their employees. And still the early withdrawal penalties.
Yeah, and they can be very steep. They can be very, very steep. Okay, well, that's good. So now the question comes, what retirement account's best for you? Let's talk about this. What in terms of some takeaways here. Number one, what do we want people to do, Tommy? We want them to take advantage of their company match.
There's not many other investment options out there where you can put money in up to that match and get that same amount put in. It's 100% return on your money. So definitely, if you're starting out, the goal is to get to a minimum of the employer match. Then
in step number two, I'm a big fan of this. I would encourage our viewers, and depending on their situation, but to open up a Roth IRA, because we've already touched on the 5-year rule.
If you're income eligible, there's no minimum amount funding requirement.
Right.
So start that Roth IRA birthday.
Yep.
Start that 5-year window.
Yep.
If you are not income eligible, there's the backdoor Roth available.
Right.
But options to get money into a Roth IRA.
And then number three is you can go back to your workplace plan. So for example, you can put the minimum in to get the match. Then you can go over here to a traditional or a Roth. You can fill that back up, right, in terms of those limits, and then go back to the workplace plan. You can do that.
Right, and if you're trying to get to, we mentioned that 15%, or depending where you fall, when you're starting, you can go back to the employer plan, and you have those brokerage account options available.
Let's talk about this too, in terms of some really good pieces of advice that people can look at when it comes to their current age, and then the multiple in terms of a gross income of what you can contribute, in terms of an idea of what we want people to do.
This is out there from the Schwab Center for Financial Research, but the question, am I saving enough? Or I guess saving is a percentage, but have I accumulated enough at different ages?
Right.
And so they kind of benchmark it. They say out at age 30, looking at 1 time your gross income.
Yep.
Going up to 40, it's 3 to 4 times. As you get closer to retirement, 50, 5 to 7 times, 60, 9 to 12 times.
Yep.
And granted, these are not factoring your individual situation,
right,
what you need for income. Do you have a pension available? But just kind of a
good
benchmark.
Track.
Yeah, it's just a benchmark, check marks along the way.
Right, and hopefully as you progress during your working career, during the workforce, your salary, right, should be progressing with you. You would hope, right?
Well, and that brings back to, if the salary is growing, are we still saving that same percentage? Are we capped out? Do we need the brokerage or taxable accounts? Everything comes into play, but it's important to I guess, keep yourself on track.
Keep yourself on track. Folks, we're out of time. That was a good episode, though. I mean, I think it's good, to kind of get back to the basics, get grounded, but it's also good to talk about the tax end of it as well. And so, Tommy, I thought it was a good episode today.
Right. Taxes play a role in just about everything we do from a saving and investing standpoint.
There is. And again, folks, that's why we're doing this show. I mean, we're here to help you, guide you, give you the tools that you need so you can make an informed decision during your own retirement journey. So again, thank you for watching. We'll catch you next weekend right here on Retire Vivid.
McCarty and Tommy Breitbach are investment advisor representatives of Vivid Wealth Management, a SEC-registered investment advisor located in Des Moines, Iowa. Investment advisory services are offered through Vivid Wealth Management, LLC. Insurance products and services are offered through Vivid Tax and Wealth Advisors and individually licensed and appointed agents. Tax planning and preparation services are offered through Vivid Tax Center, LLC. The preceding entities are affiliated. All statements and opinions expressed are based upon information considered reliable, although it should not be relied upon as such. Information presented is for educational purposes only and does not intend to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. Case studies and examples presented are hypothetical and used to demonstrate a concept. These studies do not represent actual clients or results. Similar or even positive results cannot be guaranteed. None of the entities above are affiliated or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency. Information expressed does not take into account your specific situation or objectives and is not intended to provide investment, tax, or legal advice. Viewers are encouraged to seek advice from a qualified attorney, insurance agent, tax or investment advisor to determine whether any information presented may be suitable for their specific situation. Past performance is not indicative of future performance. Investments involve risk and, unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed.